So we all know about the stigma around slow motion footage. The idea that shooting slow motion is automatically cooler or more cinematic because it's in slow motion. As consumer cameras have gotten better and better over time, being built with the capability to shoot very high quality slow motion footage, slow motion has become super popular and trendy. Then of course, as a response to this trendiness of slow motion footage, there's sort of this counter trend, this idea that slow motion footage is overrated and overused. In this video, we're going to examine a video I recently created for a local cafe, and a large portion of this video was shot in slow motion. The full video is up on my channel. I really liked how it came out, so if you're interested in that, definitely go check that out. I'll leave a link for that down in the description or at the end of this video. So just to be clear, when we're talking about slow motion footage, we're talking about shooting in 30, 60, 120, 240, or any higher frame rate that isn't 24 frames per second. Then slowing that footage down so it plays back at 24 frames per second. Slow motion has the ability to make something feel surreal or ethereal, almost not part of the main storyline. When viewing slow motion footage, especially when it's super slow, the viewer almost understands that these shots are there for the aesthetic appeal more so than to drive the main story. For this reason, slow motion shots almost are taken less seriously than 24 frames per second shots that are left in normal time. So regardless of the trends, there are a ton of reasons to shoot or not to shoot in slow motion. So in no order, here are my top 3 reasons to shoot in slow motion. So reason number 1 is reduced shakiness while shooting handheld. Now, why would you shoot handheld? Well, for me, the reason why I prefer shooting handheld as opposed to using things like a gimbal or a tripod is because you can frame your shots perfectly, right? If you're freehanding it, that is typically where you're going to have the most creative control over your framing, over the movement. You're typically losing out in the areas of framing and composition when using things like a tripod or gimbal. So I personally love shooting handheld, and that's my preferred method of shooting almost anything. Slow motion really comes in handy here because even if your hands were shaky in real time, once you take that footage and slow it down, those shakes sort of get smoothed out because it's just slower footage, right? So this is one major reason that I love shooting in slow motion. Because this is a product style video and I didn't really want to add too many crazy effects or transitions or anything weird like that, I really had to make sure the framing on all of my shots was really nailed, right? And so shooting handheld really helped me do this, and shooting slow motion made sure that those handheld shots were not shaky. On to reason number 2. The second reason I love shooting in slow motion, and I would definitely recommend it, is that slow motion footage allows you to be able to create speed ramp transitions. If you look through any of my work, you'll notice that I oftentimes make very seamless transitions, and speed ramps are a huge part of this. I actually already have a video on this topic. It's up on my channel. I'll leave a link down to that below, or maybe even at the end of this video, so you guys can go check that out as well if you want to learn more about creating speed ramp transitions. It's a really, really great way to create transitions in your footage seamlessly without having cheesy, corny drag and drop transitions involved. If you're unfamiliar with what a speed ramp is, it's simply when you have your footage changing speeds, right? So you have your clip in normal slow motion, right? So if you've shot in 120 frames per second, that gets slowed down to 20%. So you have your clip playing at 20% speed. Then as it's about to transition into the next clip, you speed it up just at that end part. So it sort of goes like this, right? And then the next clip you would start at the higher speed and then slow it back to its appropriate speed, right? So this again is an extremely effective way of making transitions, and I use this a lot throughout the Green Goat Cafe Bar video. Now, the third reason that I would shoot something in slow motion is because it simply would look good, right? This one's kind of a no-brainer. And what I mean by this is the thing that you're shooting in slow motion would actually look cool slow, right? So these are things like water, like fire, steam, or smoke, right? Things that you're normally not able to see in slow motion, but in this case you can because you've shot it and slowed the footage down. So a great example of this in this video is when the chef decided to put some cinnamon on the French toast, and I got a shot in slow motion of the cinnamon falling off of his little shaker and onto the French toast. I actually had the shot focused on the cinnamon, which you can see. Had I shot this in 24 frames per second, there's just no way I would have been able to capture that. So with that, those are my top 3 reasons of shooting in slow motion. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got value from this. I hope you guys learned something here. So hey, go out and shoot some slow motion footage, or maybe don't if it's not appropriate, but that's up to you to decide. So anyway, again, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a like, please maybe even subscribe to my channel. We're gonna be talking a lot about things like this, editing tutorials, philosophy about filmmaking, photography, you name it, the whole 9 yards. So if these things interest you, definitely subscribe. And that is all for today. We'll see you guys in the next video.